Good evening, everyone. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Monita, you are not attending classes regularly. I've shown you the video about the lenses, what are lenses and how they work. Devratna, one more thing. Devratna, are you there? So, two types of lenses are there, convex lens and concave lens. So, convex lens has the property the light when falls on the convex lens, it will bend, the light ray will bend towards its center. Therefore, that lens is called as converging lens. So here we know that is refraction, bending of the light ray. So how the bending will take place, that all I have explained you already. Now here on a convex lens, if the light ray falls, so this is the light ray falls on the convex lens, it will bend towards the center. This is a center line which goes undeviated. There is no deviation will take place through this line. Another line when falls on this way, it will bend this way. So the light rays bend towards the center of this lens. So this is called as when two or more rays meet at one point, then those rays are called as converging rays. So therefore convex lens is converging lens. And in case of concave lens, like this is a concave lens, here thickness we are only showing. Actually it looks like this way. It is this much. Here you can see the inner part, middle part is the thinner one. So this is a middle portion which is a thinner one. It looks like it is actually the circular, but when you touch this area, this is inner part is thinner and the outside part is thicker. When you touch it here, you might have observed. So such lenses are called as concave lenses. So when any light ray falls on the middle exactly, it will go undeviated, no refraction takes place. But when it falls on this way, it will, instead of bending towards the center, it will bend away from the center. So the light ray will bend away from the center. So this property, that means this happens because of divergence. That's why I told you it is because of the prism that happens. It is a shape is like prism. And we have seen the prism, the light ray bends always towards the base. Here, the light ray is bending towards the base. So its base is here. Its base is here. So therefore it is bending outward. So this is diverging. So convex, so here the light rays are moving away. So moving away, that means it is divergence. So this is diverging rays. So therefore this lens, concave lens, is diverging lens. So these are the lenses. Other parts of the lenses, the ray diagrams and all those, right now it's not needed. So you have to know only about the lenses. That's what you know. Now why this is I have explained, because this convex lens is used in eye, human eye. You have to learn the structure of human eye. for that reason. And then you have to learn the different types of defects of the eye, that also you have to learn. For that ray diagram you have to draw. For that reason only it is need to be explained. So next is structure of an eye. Next is structure of a human eye. Monita, you want to tell something?
No, ma'am.
So human eye structure, it's different parts, their function, how the humans can see the images, and then defects of human eye that we have to learn in the next part of this chapter. So here human eye part, the diagram. Are you able to see the diagram?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the diagram of the human eye. So it is roughly spherical in shape. It is spherical in shape. It is enclosed in the socket of the brain. So cranium, you know the cranium? Do you know the cranium? Means what? Brain box? Do you know brain box? Cranium, skull, skull, you know. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
Ma'am, it's like the bone in the head.
Bones in the head which protects the brain. The bones, the bony covering, bony box which protect the brain. So in the same that bony box, which is we call a skull or we call it as a cranium, in that front side, two eyes are present at sort of distance, at some distance. So the nose is present in front of that. So in between there is a some distance by which these two, this the eye, two eyes are spherical shaped eyes are present, which are protected. So this is inside, it is protected inside that bony box, which is we call as cranium. So this eye is covered by three membranes. You can see here three membrane layer. So protection, there are two ways protection. One is the bony covering. Above it, there is a bony covering, that is a brain box or a cranium. Covers the bony covering, protects the brain. Sorry, protects the brain as well as protects the eye. Then also inside that there is again three membranes are present. Outer membrane is called as sclera. Inner one, middle one is the choroid, and the inner one is the retina. There are three membrane layers are present for the protection of this eye. Okay, so for the protection of the eye, there are these three membrane layers are present which protects the eye from any mechanical injuries or any electrical shock. Now the front part, you can see here, this is the eye. So in that you can see, this is the white part. Can you see this white part? Inside this is a blue one here you can show, which is generally it is black one. So it is blue shown because the inner dot, black dot has to be seen clearly. For that thing it is shown the blue eye. So it is generally for normal adults it is black in color. Very few, that depends on the genetical parents, from through the parents the characteristic has been transferred, and according due to that the color of the eye is different. So here this white part, this is white outer protective layer, we call it as, that is the cornea. So this white part is called as cornea. So function of cornea is to, most of the refraction, light rays when pass through, this is the window of the eye through which the light enters and undergoes maximum refraction. So light enters through this cornea. So therefore it is also called as window of the eye. The light enters through this window and then it will undergoes bending. Maximum bending will be taken place through this corneal portion. And also it consists on liquid part is present. This is when we touch it is a liquid portion, is a jelly like substance is present. So that jelly like substance is called as aqueous humor. So it protects the eye from dust particles or any small particles moves into the eye. It will be trapped into this aqueous jelly like substance. So it will not allow that dust particle to enter inside and protects the eye. And that is present in this cornea. So this is white part is called as cornea, which is bulged outside. So here you can see this is outer part, which is called as cornea, through which the maximum diffraction of light takes place, and it protects the eye from dust particles and the different foreign particles or any microbes also enters here. They will be trapped in the cornea due with the help of this aqueous humor, which is a jelly-like liquid present in the cornea. Clear? Cornea function clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Then when you move inside, you can see this blue circle, or most of the places it is, if you see yours, it is a black circle, the bigger one, not the middle one. The bigger one is called as iris, iris, iris. So this is iris. Iris consists of two things. One is the iris pigments, and the second one is iris muscles. So iris pigments, these are the color pigments. They impart color to the eye. So different pigments have different colors. It is black color, gray color, brown color, blue color. So these are the possible colors of the iris pigments. These colored pigments are present in the iris, which gives the color to the eye. And it is completely hereditary, inherited character. So that means whatever the characteristic is transferred from the parents, that color will be seen in that iris, and according to that, the color of the eye will change. If people having the blue color eye, their children also might be blue color. That is because they transfer that characteristic to the children. Okay, so that is blue color eye possible, blue color possible, brown color possible, gray color possible, brown color possible. Okay, most commonly it is black color. That is iris 1 color is given to the eye, that is because of that color, iris pigments. Second one is iris muscles. So muscles, we know that is their main function of the muscle is to, what is the main function of muscle? Yes, what is the function of muscles?
Ma'am, it will help to see far and near objects clearly.
Couldn't get, come again.
Ma'am, it will help to see far and near objects clearly to focus it.
No. Muscles, I'm asking, what is the simple function of muscles? I'm not asking iris muscles. The simple function of muscles. What is the simple function of muscles? Yes. What are your common muscles do in your whole body? What are the function of these muscles? You don't know what your muscles are doing?
Ma'am, they help in the movement.
They help in the movement of the different parts of the body. Different hands we can move, or anything we can move, that is because of the muscles, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So here also iris muscles also do the same function. But thing is, which movement here important? The movement of this inner dark spot. This inner dark spot is actually the hole. This is a dark spot, which is a hole through which light enters and falls on this lens. So this is a small window-like structure through which the light enters and falls on the lens. So now this hole is changeable size. Size of that hole is changeable. We can change that size. So the change in size, why it is necessary for changing the size? This hole is called as pupil. Pupil, pupil is the hole. This inner dark spot is called as pupil, which is again the hole. It is actually the hole through which the light enters the eye. Now, what is the function of this hole? So here it is just like the curtains. It actually functions as a curtains. So we know that is whenever we want in the morning time or when we wants to study, what we do? When we study the your curtain structure means how the curtains are present, and when you want to sleep at that time, how the curtains are present. When you will open and when you will close.
We'll open in the daytime when we're sleeping, we'll close it.
Whenever in the daytime itself, if you want to sleep, what you will do? You will open and then sleep.
No, ma'am, we'll close it.
We'll
You
close
will
it.
close it, right? So this means what? When you need more light at the time of study because you want to focus and you want to see everything. And at the time of sleep, you don't want the sunlight. So you close those curtains. The same thing happened for this one also. The number of rays falling on the lens should differ. They should not be equal. Same time, every time the same number of lights cannot enter the light. So when you are in a bright light, the more amount of light will fall on your eyes, and possibly if this size of this hole won't change, then what happen, the same number of lights will enter, light rays will enter when there is a bright light and when there is a dim light also. So when there is a bright light, if more number of lights will enter the eye, then what will happen, the more number of rays will concentrate on this area, and the sunlight consists of heat energy. So that heat energy, more amount of light when they falls on this lens, and through that lens it will fall on this area, this region. The many light rays will converge. They will concentrate at one place, converge at one place. And when many light rays reach at one place, what will happen? If that happens in paper, what will happen to the paper? You have seen in the last video I have shown you. What happens when
Ma'am,
the
the
many
paper
light rays
burns.
sunlight falls through the lens? They will converge at one point, and due to that one point on the paper will start burning. The same situation will occur on this membrane also. If the many light rays reach this area and concentrate at exactly one portion, then that portion will start burning or will completely get damaged, and that should not happen. So therefore, when you are in a bright light, the amount of light falling on the lens has to be reduced. And when you are in a dim light, the more number of rays should enter your eyes so that you are able to see the objects more brighter. You can see those objects clearly. So what is the requirement? In bright light, less number of rays should enter the eye. And in dim light, the more number of light should enter your eye. So that is the things can be seen clearly. You might have seen as soon as you are in the house and as soon as you go to the bright sun, what is the size of your eye? Can you open it? Are you able to open?
No, ma'am.
No, you're not able to open because bright light falls on your eyes, makes your eyes much more difficult to open, and you are not able. It is much more problematic, irritating. It's causes so much more irritation. We are not able to open our eyes, and that is actually should be done so that is your eye should not get damaged, because more number of light rays enter, then it will be damaging this part, this retina. This is the inner membrane is get damaged, so that should not happen. That's the reason immediately our eyes get closed. That is done by brain. The brain will do this, brain will control this. And the same thing when you are in the bright light and that's immediately you enter into the dark room, are you able to see anything? You stay for 10-15 minutes in a in a sunlight, or once it is a very heavy sunlight, it will be there, more brighter sunlight will be there,
No, ma'am.
and immediately if you enter the dark room, what you will see?
Like, ma'am, light coming.
Yes, ma'am. It will be like a
Something.
spot of light.
Yes, couldn't get again, come again.
It will be like a spot of light falling in your eyes,
Something.
even in the dark room.
Something black or something like that.
Are you able to see anything in that room?
No.
No, ma'am.
Same situation when you go to the movie hall, when you are outside and if suppose you are late, your movie hasn't started. Are you able to see your seats or anything inside that's movie hall? When
No,
you
ma'am.
are outside, there is a light is there, but as soon as you enter the movie hall, it is completely dark. Can you see anything immediately?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, it will be dark, completely dark. But after some time, means after near about 1 minute, now are you able to see?
Yes,
A
ma'am.
Could
little
you
bit,
see?
ma'am.
Little bit you are able to see. You can at least find out your seat numbers and all those.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, right. So this has happened because of the size of pupil keep on changing. In different brightness, the size of this hole is keep on changing. When you are in bright light, the number of rays reaching the eye are less. So to make that possible, when the number of light reaching the eye will be reduced, how it can be reduced? By decreasing the size of this pupil,
Yes, ma'am.
decreasing the size of this hole. When we decrease the size of hole, number of rays entering through that hole will be less. So therefore less number of
Yes.
light will be fall on the eyes. But in case of dim light, now what is needed? More number of light should enter. So what happens at that time? What should be done? The pupil size should increase.
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 So that is more number of light rays will reach. So in bright light, less number of light should reach. So therefore the size of the pupil will reduce, will decrease. But in dim light, now more rays should enter. So that is we can see the things clearly. So at that time, the size of pupil should increase. So that is more number of light will enter. So every time the size of pupil should reduce, increase. Now who will help this in doing? These are the muscles, iris muscles. So iris muscles are connected to this hole. So iris muscles can contract or relax. And according to their contraction and relaxation, the size of the pupil will change. So as soon as the bright light falls on the eyes, the size, these iris muscles contract. When you see the bright light, what happens? Your eye size become less smaller, right? What? When you go to the sunlight, what happens? Your size of the eye. You will
Decrease.
contract or you will open wide.
Contract.
You contract. So iris muscles contract and the size of pupil will reduce. Clear? Able to understand? When bright light falls on your eyes, the iris muscles contract and due to which the size of the pupil will reduce. And due to that reduction, the less number of light rays will enter the eye. Clear? Iris muscles contract. So due to that, they will decrease the size of the pupil. When you watch, just like you see my fingers, if it is the iris muscle, so these are the 5 muscles which are holding the this one pupil whole. Now, if they are open, the size of the pupil will be bigger.
Yes, ma'am.
When they reduce, they contract means they comes closer. They contract means they come closer. So when they come closer, what will happen? The size of the hole will be lesser,
Decrease.
decrease, and therefore the number of rays which enters the pupil will reduce. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And the opposite will happen when you go to the dim light. So when you go to the dim light, the iris muscles will increase in size. That means they will relax. They will come back to their original position. So when they will come back to their original position, then the size of the hole will increase. And due to that, more number of rays will enter. And therefore, we are able to see the things properly. And this change in the size of pupil will take some time. It will not happen immediately. Some few seconds time is needed to change the size of the pupil. This is the reason when you go to the cinema hall or a movie hall, when from the bright light, if you enter, means outside there is a light, and as soon as you enter the movie hall, immediately there is a dark, completely dark room it is. So in that case, immediately you are not able to see anything. But after 30 seconds or 1 minute, you are able to see things. So this happens because the pupil will take some time to change its size. Pupil needs some time to change its size because iris muscles has to contract or relax according to the scene, according to the light outside. So it will take some time for iris muscles to contract or relax, and accordingly the size of pupil will also change. So in case of dark, when you move to the dark room, the iris muscles, initially the iris muscles are contracted. So they have to relax. So when they relax, they will come away. They will move away from each other. The size of the pupil will increase. And then only the more number of light from the that hall will enter. And then only you are able to see the things clearly. Clear? Is it clear? Are you able to understand this point? Yes or no? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no? Did you understood or not? Didn't understood?
Understood, ma'am.
So what is happening? This is a question of 2 marks. The same question what I've asked you. So when we enter from the bright light to the movie hall, immediately we can't see anything. But after sometimes, somewhat the things are visible to us, or clearly we can see the things inside that hall. So explain this statement or give reason for this. This question is asked. Okay, so that is the iris and pupil function. So iris muscles helps in changing the size of the pupil, and pupil size is needs to be changed to control the amount of light entering the eye lens or entering the eye. So the pupil's function is to control the amount of light or regulate the amount of light entering the eye, and the iris's function is to control the size of pupil. Functions clear? Cornea, iris, and pupil function is clear to you or not? Clear or not? Are you there?
Ma'am, clear.
Ma'am,
Then behind this pupil, behind this hole, inside now, this is the outer part what we have seen. Now we have to go inside. Inside there is this is a convex lens, not made up of a glass. It is made up of a transparent jelly-like substance. Jelly-like chemical is present and which is a transparent. So that is the refraction will take place. Light can easily enter through this device. So it should be the transparent lens. It is connected, it is held in position with the help of these muscles called as ciliary muscles. So these muscles which hold this lens in position. As the iris moves, the lens also moves along with the iris. So this movement and this curvature, that means this structure, this is binding structure, it is not same. This thickness of the lens is not same every time. It is keep on changing depending on the object you are viewing, is the closer or distant objects or very far away distant objects. Depending on the position of the object you want to see, according to that, the size of this lens is keep on changing. So this size of the lens is changed. So sometimes it is more thicker, just like this. If you see my hands, it is just like this sometimes, and just like it sometimes it is like this. So it will become thin, or sometimes it will become thick. Thin thickness. It is depending on the size of the distance of the object from your eye. You want to see a very close distant objects, or you want to see any far point distant objects, far distant objects. So at that time, the size of this lens is keep on changing. The size of this lens is changed with the help of these muscles, which are called as ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles play important role in, observing different distant objects. Right now, if you see, you are able to see in your phone, clearly you are able to see. And sometimes you immediately when you see the open the window and you see outside, the very far distant objects also you can see clearly. So this happens because of changing the size of this lens. The size of the lens has to be changed. So that is the focal length of this lens will change. Focal length is, if you see in that case, I've told you this with the rays. I have shown you in the case of convex lens. These are this is a convex lens. When the parallel rays intersect, when falls on the lens, they will meet at one point on this line, the straight line. The straight line is called as principal axis. This straight line which do not bend, which goes straight, passing through the lens, it will go straight. That point, that line is called as principal axis. So when any line parallel to this principal axis falls on the lens, it will it intersects that principal axis at one point. Or any ray from here also, if it falls, this also moves this way, and it also intersect all the rays which are parallel to principal axis. After refraction, they will intersect at one point, they will meet at one point. That point is called as focus, and this focus will keep on changing depending on the object distance. Different distant objects, to see the different distant objects, the length of this focus from the lens to this focus distance is called as focal length. The distance between the center of the lens and the focus, this distance is called as focal length. So focal length need to be changed to see nearby distant objects or far distant objects. To see nearby distant objects, the focal length should be decreased. And to see very far away distant objects, this focal length has to be increased. And this focal length can be changed by changing the size of this lens. Here you can see when the size of the lens is small, the focal length is more, and size of the lens is bigger, then the focal length is less. So thin lens has more focal length, thicker lens has small focal length. So to see the nearby distant objects, the size of the focal length should be reduced. Focal length is reduced by increasing this thickness. So the lens will become more thick. So it will more bulge. Curvature increases. And when we want to see far distant objects, the focal length should increase. So this focal length is increased by increasing the thickness. Thickness should be decreased. So the lens should become flat. Thickness should be reduced to a very less quantity. Then due to reduce in thickness, the lens will become flat. So this way the focal length increases and we are able to see the far distant objects clearly. Able to understand why it is needed to change the thickness?
Yes, ma'am.
So, ma'am, if we want to see far, the focal length will be more.
Focal length needed to be more.
Okay.
When we want to see a far distant objects, the focal length of that lens should increase. Means it should be reached to that level, that value, that object. It should be very closer to that object. So when you want to see very far distant objects, the focal length will increase. And when we want to see nearby distant objects while reading and writing, we keep all the things very close, right? So in that case, the focal length should decrease. And to decrease this focal length, this thickness should increase. To decrease the focal length, the thickness should increase. And to increase the focal length, the thickness should decrease. thickness of the lens should decrease. And this change in the size of the lens is done with the help of these muscles. These ciliary muscles helps in changing the size of the lens so that we are able to see things present at different positions. Clear?
Ma'am, so we wear specs because of this lens.
We wear specs because if these muscles are not working properly, if these muscles are not working properly, they are not able to do their function properly of changing the size of the lens. Changing the size of lens is, I told you what is the function of this. And now what happens? Sometimes we are not able to see a very far distant objects clearly. That's the reason we are wearing specs, right?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So the specs, what is the function of the specs? They are performing the function of this lens or that ciliary muscles. So why that happens? So I will come to that point again. The defects of eye we have to learn further. So I will explain you why that happens and what has to be done and which type of a lens is used. Clear? I will explain you that also. Myopia, hypermetropia, I need to explain you. Okay, the size of the lens has to be changed to see different distance objects clearly. And that change in the size of the lens has been done with the help of the ciliary muscles. So ciliary muscles expand, so they will relax, so they will bring this will stretch the lens more. So when any lens is stretched uh, from the two tops, what will happen? If the balloon is stretched, balloon is there, the word this one cylindrical balloon is there. If you stretch it from two ends, what will happen? What happens to its size?
The middle part also gets thinner.
It become thinner, so middle part will become thin, right? So it is like this. So if you stretch from the top end and the bottom like this way, so what will happen? So this will become flat, right? So this thickness is obtained when you stretch from here and here, from this end, you are pulling it. So what will happen? This is pulled downwards and this is pulled upwards. What will happen? It will become thin. It gets stretched. So when it's stretched, the thickness decreases. And decrement in thickness is needed when we want to see far distant objects, right? So they move away from each other. The ciliary muscles relax. So they move away from each other. Relax means they will move away from each other. At that time, the thickness of the lens decreases. And when you push the balloon from two ends, what will happen? If it is a balloon and if you push it, compress it, so what will happen?
It will become thick in the middle.
It will become like this, circular shape, more circular. So that means the thickness increases. So you will obtain this structure. So thickness increases. So when ciliary muscles relax, at that time what happened? The thickness decreases. Thickness of lens decreases. And we are able to see that far distant objects clearly. And in this case, ciliary muscles contract. So when they contract, they compress the lens. So thickness increases. Clear? And thickness increases, then the focal length reduces. Focal length will be less, and due to that, the people can see the things closer to us clearly. Reading and writing will be done easily. Clear the function of ciliary muscles? Ciliary muscle function clear to you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So ciliary muscles function is very, very important. It plays important role in seeing the objects clearly. If the ciliary muscles are not doing their work properly, then only we will start facing problem in seeing the far distant objects clearly, or sometimes we are not able to read and write also properly. Clear? So that is the main function of ciliary muscle. So ciliary muscles plays a very important role in the eyes. Then behind the eye, this is the orange part you can see, that is actually the transparent jelly, which is called as vitreous humor. That vitreous humor, the transparent semi-solid jelly is present. So that function of that jelly is to make this size of the eye intact. The distance between the lens and the distance between this outer boundary, that is a retina membrane, inner membrane, that is a retina, the distance between them has to be maintained constant, and that is done with the help of this vitreous semi-solid transparent jelly, which is called as vitreous humor. So its main function is to keep the size of the eye intact. Then the next is the retina. Retina is called screen of the eye. So screen of the eye, that means whenever the light rays from that object falls on the lens, they converge at one point on this screen. So this screen, so image of the object will be formed on this screen. Retina is a screen. So image of any object will be formed on the screen, that is retina. Now retina has sensitive cells in different shapes. Some are rod shaped and some are cone shaped. Rod shaped cells are also called as rods, and cone shaped cells are actually the cones. So these are sensors. They senses the information of the image. So whatever the image is formed on this retina, what is the color of that, how much brighter that light image is everything is sensed by this sensitive cells called as rods and cones, which are present in the retina. In this retina, these cones and rods are present. Whenever they receive the image is formed on the retina, immediately that area, rods and cones get illuminated. So they get sense, they are sensors, so they get sense, they sense this information about the brightness of the image, dullness of the image, and color of image will be sensed by these different rod shaped cells and cone shaped cells. And one more function they perform, they convert this image information into electrical signals. So information about the image will be converted into electrical signals, so that here you can see these blue and red parts are entered. These are the blood capillaries, blood enters, and here are again the some nerve cells enters. Those we call as optic nerves. So here the optic nerves enter the eye. So what are optic nerves? The nerves, the nerve cells, neurons, nerve cells, which carries this electrical information, the images information, which is converted into electrical signals. So those electrical signals are transferred or transported from this retina to brain. So this optic nerve is a channel or a path through which the image information will be transported to brain. Brain can receive, optic nerves can only carry information in the form of electrical signals, and these signals can be processed in the CPU, that is the brain, in the electrical form only, electrical energy form only. So brain has a one particular special area for these images. So these optic nerves carries the information and send it to the brain. Brain will process that information and explains you what you are seeing, what you have seen, or what you are reading right now. How you will get to know that is this is O, this is P, this is T, I, and C. This every letter means optic nerve. How you will get to know? You are only seeing those letters, those symbols. But the meaning of this, how you will get to know? How you will get to know this is artery? That means the artery, which is a blood capillary, blood vessel, which carries the blood. How you will get to know? You know this one? Do you know this? What do you mean by artery? Do you know it? No, no one knows artery means. Artery and veins means. Yes, anyone? Yes or no, at least that also tell no.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the vessels which carries blood, arteries and veins. So how you'll get to know that is this is written is artery. This is written and means both together. When you have written here, focal I have written here, focal length, focus I have written here. How you got to know that? That is because when the information, that lettuce's image is formed on the eye, that is on the retina, and that retina convert that information into electrical signals, and those electrical signals are transferred to the brain. Then brain, depending on your earlier experiences, so you know that is focus means focus. You know the pronunciation, so you start pronouncing it. So that is because it is depends on your earlier information, earlier memory. When you will, I will show here the picture of eye I have shown you. Immediately you got to know without, so without telling you, you got to know this is the eye. How you got to know? You only have seen this, but how exactly you got to know that this is the eye? That is because this information was stored in your brain earlier in the childhood time only, right? So that processing, that is what you are seeing, and what is the meaning of that image is explained by brain. Brain will explain you this. So main function of eye is to only see the object and form the image. But the actual information about that what you are seeing is explained you by brain only. So brain should guess the information. So it will get the information through optic nerve. Just exactly similar in sound chapter, you have learned the auditory nerve. So what is the function of auditory nerve? What is the function of auditory nerve? Yes. You have learned in sound chapter. No idea.
Can you repeat?
Auditory nerve. What do you mean by auditory nerve? What is the function of it? No idea. Sound chapter have you learned? Have you learned the sound chapter?
Yes, ma'am.
Human ear, structure of human ear. Structure of human ear. No, you are not learned, right? idea. What is the use of learning this one? So you don't know what happened earlier after giving the test 2 to 3 times.